You ever hear the expression poke the bear? You got to figure out in that expression, who's the bear, okay? Is it the cartels or is it us? Because you're seeing right now, the cartels are different than what we're used to in America in terms of gang life. There are lots of formidable gangs and organizations, criminal organizations, don't get me wrong. But look what's happening there. Mexican authorities scored a big win, right? They killed arguably the most wanted drug kingpin since El Chapo, known as El Mencho, okay? And with the aid of U.S. intelligence, but as far as we're told, we weren't on the ground there doing any of the shooting, or at least that's not what they're saying yet. But it's not for free down there. The cartels have armies, okay? And they are shooting and blowing things up, and there's all kind of open warfare going on. So what will this mean in terms of, one, will it slow down fentanyl coming into New York? Is this really a material difference? And might it amp up the state of play between the United States, Mexico, and the cartels? Let's bring in former CIA agent Tracy Walder and the DEA's former chief of international operations, Mike Vigil. Mike, thank you both, Tracy and Mike. But Mike, do you believe that this was intel only for the U.S., or do you think we're down there doing cooperations?
No, this was maybe some intel from the United States, but most of the intel came from the Mexican government. What they did is they started to conduct surveillance on Mencho's girlfriend. They followed her to a house. They determined that Mencho was there with numerous bodyguards. They assaulted the house. They came under gunfire, and Mencho and two of his bodyguards tried to escape into a wooded area, and they were severely wounded. There are no boots on the ground in Mexico by the U.S. military. The Mexican government would take that as an act of war. Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico, has stated that they are willing to cooperate, coordinate, but they are not going to allow U.S. troops to go into Mexico other than for training.
Tracy, one, do you believe this had any kind of relation to what happened in the airspace over El Paso? And what does this mean in terms of whether this slows things down or accelerates them?
Thank you for having me, Chris. I don't believe that there is a correlation between this and what happened in El Paso, although I can understand how one might make that correlation. Obviously, it just occurred, and it was a weapon being used against the cartels. What I think we are getting into here, you mentioned El Chapo at the top of this. And in the past, when he had been incarcerated or when his sons had been incarcerated, it did devolve into violence, but it was mostly violence of the cartels fighting against each other for that power vacuum. The difference that I'm seeing here that's a little bit different is this is almost 1980s Pablo Escobar style narco terrorism. This is an all-out assault against the Mexican state. That's what's going on here. And that's why this is a little bit different. And in my opinion, that is going to change the narrative with the US and Mexico and how they deal with this.
So in terms of, Mike, do you believe the Mexicans can control the cartels and just have chosen not to? Or is it just too insinuated into the government structure itself to ever really be brought under control?
Well, a lot of it has to do with politics. For example, Andrés Manuel López Obrador came up with a policy of abrazos y no balazos, hugs and not gunshots. And that basically emboldened and caused the cartels to operate with greater impunity. I think that the United States, instead of threatening Mexico constantly that they're not doing anything, that they're going to send troops there, that is ludicrous. The only thing that it does is it causes problems. You have to deal with this with a certain sense of diplomacy. But the cartels, two of them, Sinaloa and Jalisco Generation Cartel, operate in probably 6 of the 7 continents. They're extremely powerful, but not only do they traffic drugs, now they penetrated legitimate industry. For example, the $3.5 billion avocado industry, lemon lime. They steal about $1 billion worth of petroleum from the Pemex pipelines, and they make billions of dollars from trafficking human beings. So they are extraordinarily powerful. The Mexican government under Claudia Sheinbaum is taking effective action. I applaud the Mexican government for the killing of El Mencho. But what happens when the leaders of these cartels are killed or captured? The cartels fragment. And all of a sudden you have the proverbial hydra where you have, instead of one criminal organization, you have two. If you take a look at Sinaloa cartel right now, there's thousands of killings in multiple states.
Tracy, quickly, not a good time to be going to Mexico as these guys shake out the power structure. As Mike is alluding, when the head is cut off, Hydra is a multi-headed mythological beast, right? You're going to have a lot of different guys competing for this, and that's usually a bloody situation.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught, obviously, in a civil war. I try to be careful with that because tourism is the lifeblood of the Mexican economy, and I certainly don't want that to impact innocent Mexicans and to be out of a job there. But I think at this point in time, when there are still shelter in place orders, it's not the best time to be visiting Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get in a shelter-in-place order, that tells you everything you need to know. Tracy, thank you. Mike, thank you very much. Very big headline. I mean, El Mencho, they used to call him the Lord of the Roosters. He was huge in cockfighting down there. For him to go down is a big deal. But as it is with all of these terror organizations, what's next? What's next?